What if I told you that some of Hollywood's toughest action stars, the ones who made us believe in impossible feats and fearless heroes, were hiding a dark secret behind the muscle, the adrenaline-pumping chases, and the explosive fight scenes, were men who battled demons far worse than any villain they faced on screen. They weren't just drinking on the weekends. They were drowning their pain in alcohol, sometimes around the clock. In a world where image was everything, these stars risked it all to escape their struggles. Here are 10 action legends whose secret drinking habits could have destroyed their careers if the truth ever came out. Number 10. Errol Flynn, a swashbuckler with a whiskey habit. Errol Flynn, the dashing star of Robin Hood and Captain Blood, was as reckless off-screen as he was daring on it. Known for saying, "I like my whiskey old and my women young," Flynn's drinking fueled his infamous scandals, including a trial for statutory rape. Even as his career flourished, his appetite for alcohol and controversy never waned. Flynn's drinking began early in his career. He would arrive on set with alcohol hidden in water bottles. Directors quickly learned to schedule their scenes in the morning. By afternoon, Flynn was often too intoxicated to perform effectively. Co-stars complained about his whiskey breath, even during early morning shoots. Warner Brothers executives hired handlers to keep Flynn sober during productions. These efforts rarely succeeded. Flynn would frequently escape his minders and disappear on drinking binges for days. The studio covered up these incidents, creating elaborate excuses for production delays. Flynn's yacht, the Sirocco, became infamous for wild parties and excessive drinking. The Coast Guard was called multiple times to respond to disturbances. These maritime escapades only enhanced Flynn's bad boy reputation, which the studio simultaneously promoted and controlled. By the 1950s, alcoholism had visibly aged Flynn. At 50, he looked decades older. His hands shook constantly, and he relied on drinks to steady them before filming. Flynn died at 50 of a heart attack, with an autopsy revealing a severely damaged liver. His doctor later admitted Flynn had ignored numerous warnings about his drinking. Number 9. Richard Burton, vodka-fueled talent. Burton's performances were legendary, but so was his drinking. Consuming up to 3 bottles of vodka daily, his alcoholism led to fiery fights with Elizabeth Taylor and public meltdowns. Despite his struggles, Burton's charisma kept him in the spotlight. Burton's Welsh mining background introduced him to drinking culture early. By the time he reached Hollywood, alcohol was already his constant companion. He claimed alcohol enhanced his performances, especially when reciting Shakespeare. Directors and co-stars disagreed. His volatile relationship with Elizabeth Taylor was fueled by alcohol. Both heavy drinkers fought dramatically when intoxicated. Their marriage, divorce, remarriage, and second divorce played out in tabloids worldwide, with alcohol a central but unmentioned character in their drama. On the set of Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, Burton's role as an alcoholic professor required little acting. Director Mike Nichols struggled to manage Burton's real-life intoxication during filming. The actor frequently forgot lines and required multiple takes to complete scenes. Burton's drinking caused severe health problems, including seizures and tremors. Makeup artists worked overtime to hide their bloated faces and bloodshot eyes. Studios insured Burton at enormous rates, including special sobriety clauses that were rarely enforced due to his box office value. Burton attempted rehab multiple times, but always returned to drinking. He once told a reporter, "I can't imagine life without vodka." His diaries, published decades after his death, revealed the true extent of his suffering: blackouts, hallucinations, and deep self-loathing. Number 8. Oliver Reed, beer binge king. Reed's drinking stories are almost mythical. He reportedly consumed over 100 pints of beer in a single day. His alcohol-fueled antics led to public scandals and ultimately his death during the filming of Gladiator. Oliver Reed embraced his reputation as a hellraiser. Unlike stars who hid their drinking, Reed flaunted his. He appeared visibly intoxicated on talk shows and challenged hosts to drinking contests. Television producers came to fear putting him on live broadcasts. During film productions, Reed's drinking caused constant problems. Many directors refused to work with him. Insurance companies demanded enormous premiums to cover productions featuring Reed. His undeniable talent competed with his complete unreliability. Reed became notorious for bizarre behavior in public houses. He would strip naked after drinking, challenge strangers to wrestling matches, and start barroom brawls. These incidents were so common they rarely made headlines. The public expected such behavior from Reed. Film crews developed Reed protocols, emergency plans for when the actor became too drunk to perform. These included shooting scenes with stand-ins and scheduling around Reed's drinking patterns. Directors learned to film his crucial scenes early in the day before drinking began. Reed died in 1999 while filming Gladiator in Malta. After a marathon drinking session that reportedly included 8 pints of beer, 12 double rums, and half a bottle of whiskey, Reed suffered a fatal heart attack. Director Ridley Scott was forced to complete the film using CGI to finish Reed's scenes for $3 million. Number 7. Robert Mitchum, the brooding bad boy. Mitchum's heavy drinking was matched by his rebellious streak. Known for brawls and brushes with the law, he embodied Hollywood's dark side while delivering unforgettable performances. Mitchum learned to drink during his years as a Depression-era hobo, riding the rails and living in transient camps. By the time he reached Hollywood, he could consume enormous amounts of alcohol without showing obvious effects. This tolerance became part of his tough guy mystique. On film sets, Mitchum's drinking was an open secret. Director Charles Laughton, while filming Night of the Hunter, claimed, "Robert does his best work slightly intoxicated." Mitchum's chilling performance in that film, despite his inebriated state during filming, remains one of cinema's most memorable. When arrested for marijuana possession in 1948, Mitchum was also intoxicated. The studio successfully suppressed this information, fearing a drunk driving charge would damage his image even more than the drug charges. This early example of studio damage control protected Mitchum's career. Mitchum often disappeared during productions. During The Longest Day, he went missing for 3 days, eventually found in a Paris bar where he had been drinking continuously. Despite costing the production thousands of dollars, Mitchum faced no consequences, protected by his contract and star power. In later years, Mitchum developed serious health problems related to his drinking. Though warned by doctors about his liver, he merely switched from hard liquor to beer, claiming this was a health-conscious decision while still consuming large amounts of alcohol daily. Number 6. Peter O'Toole, drunk on stardom. O'Toole's role in Lawrence of Arabia cemented his legacy. But behind the scenes, he was rarely sober. His drinking became part of his persona, with tales of wild nights overshadowing even his on-screen achievements. O'Toole claimed he discovered alcohol at age 14. By the time Lawrence of Arabia made him famous, drinking dominated his life. Director David Lean struggled to manage O'Toole during the desert filming as the actor's alcohol consumption combined dangerously with the extreme heat. O'Toole and fellow actor Richard Harris became notorious drinking partners, disappearing on legendary binges that lasted for days. O'Toole once described their relationship, "We put away enough booze to sink the Titanic, and we did it every day." The damage to O'Toole's health became critical in 1976, when he underwent emergency surgery to remove parts of his stomach and intestines. The damage was alcohol-related, and though O'Toole reduced his drinking afterward, he never achieved complete sobriety. Despite receiving 8 Academy Award nominations throughout his career, O'Toole never won. Hollywood insiders believed his reputation as an unreliable alcoholic hurt his chances with Oscar voters, who admired his talent but questioned his professionalism. In his autobiography, O'Toole downplayed his alcoholism, presenting drinking as merely a social activity. Friends who read the book called it creative fiction, claiming O'Toole's relationship with alcohol was far more destructive than he acknowledged. Number 5. Frank Sinatra, Whiskey and Charm. Sinatra wasn't just a crooner. He was a whiskey enthusiast who reportedly drank an entire bottle daily. His addiction was hidden behind his suave image, but had lasting effects on his health and career. Sinatra began drinking heavily during his early singing career. Performing in nightclubs exposed him to alcohol culture. By the time he transitioned to movies, Sinatra was drinking daily, preferring Jack Daniel's Neat, which he called the nectar of the gods. The Rat Pack era cemented Sinatra's drinking reputation. He, Dean Martin, and Sammy Davis Jr. often performed visibly intoxicated. Las Vegas shows frequently started late due to the performers' pre-show drinking, but audiences found this entertaining rather than unprofessional. Sinatra's infamous temper worsened with alcohol. He threw phones at hotel walls, verbally abused staff members, and threatened journalists. Studio executives protected him from consequences, valuing his star power above all else. His marriages suffered from his drinking. His relationship with Ava Gardner, also an alcoholic, was particularly volatile and destructive. Later wives complained about Sinatra's behavior when drunk, and his children witnessed his addiction firsthand, describing him as two different fathers, one sober and one drunk. Sinatra never publicly acknowledged his alcoholism. In interviews, he presented drinking as sophisticated adult behavior, influencing generations of fans who imitated his style without understanding its consequences. Number 4. Montgomery Clift, Alcohol After Tragedy. Clift's alcoholism worsened after a devastating car accident left him physically and emotionally scarred. His struggles often disrupted filming, but added depth to his tragic performances. Montgomery Clift began as a controlled drinker, showing little evidence of alcohol problems early in his career. The car accident in 1956 changed everything. Clift crashed while leaving Elizabeth Taylor's home, severely damaging his face. Pain and depression led to increased drinking and prescription drug abuse. During the filming of Suddenly last summer, Clift's condition became so obvious that director Joseph L. Mankiewicz wanted to replace him. Katharine Hepburn and Elizabeth Taylor threatened to quit if Clift was fired. The studio reluctantly kept him, with Hepburn reportedly spitting in Mankiewicz's face for his treatment of Clift. Makeup artists developed special techniques to hide Clift's facial scars and alcohol-induced bloating, using flesh-colored wax and heavy foundation. Early morning filming proved impossible, as Clift needed drinks to steady his hands, forcing production schedules to adapt to his needs. Despite multiple attempts at rehabilitation, Clift never achieved sobriety. The pain from his accident remained constant, and alcohol provided temporary relief. The combination of pain medications and alcohol created a dangerous cycle of addiction that eventually destroyed his health. Clift died in 1966 at age 45 from a heart attack, though the actual cause was years of substance abuse. His brother later said, "The accident killed him. It just took 10 years to do it." Critics now view Clift's later performances differently, seeing authenticity in his portrayal of suffering as his pain translated to the screen. Number 3. Richard Harris, Vodka Virtuoso. Harris lived life unapologetically, consuming up to 2.5 bottles of vodka daily. His drunken escapades were legendary, making him both loved and feared in Hollywood circles. Richard Harris began drinking as a rugby player in Ireland, where team culture encouraged heavy alcohol consumption. He saw no reason to change when he became famous, bringing this attitude to his acting career. During the filming of Camelot, Harris was consistently drunk. Director Joshua Logan struggled to manage him, and co-star Vanessa Redgrave reportedly avoided Harris off-set. Harris later admitted he couldn't remember filming many scenes. Watching the completed movie with surprise at performances he had no recollection of giving. Harris collapsed in 1978 with alcohol poisoning and nearly died. This experience led to temporary sobriety that lasted several years, a period he described as seeing the world clearly for the first time. His return to drinking was gradual, with Harris maintaining he could control his consumption, despite evidence to the contrary. In later years, Harris achieved unexpected fame with younger audiences as Dumbledore in the first two Harry Potter films. Children knew nothing of his drinking history, and parents familiar with his reputation were surprised by his casting. Harris delivered a dignified performance despite health problems related to decades of alcohol abuse. Number 2. Michael Landon, Whiskey in Disguise. Known for wholesome roles in Bonanza and Little House on the Prairie, Landon secretly added whiskey to his coffee on set, a hidden habit that clashed with his clean-cut image. Michael Landon carefully maintained his public image, playing wholesome characters and speaking about family values. Behind this facade, Landon struggled with alcohol dependency, hiding his drinking more successfully than other stars on this list. The coffee cup became Landon's signature prop. On sets, crew members knew the cup contained more than coffee. Landon added whiskey throughout the day, but maintained functionality. His performance rarely suffered visibly, and co-stars described him as always slightly buzzed but never sloppy. Unlike many alcoholic stars, Landon remained highly functional. He arrived on time, knew his lines, and completed his directorial duties efficiently. His drinking remained a background issue rather than a headline problem, allowing him to deny his addiction even to himself. Network executives suspected Landon's drinking but ignored it. His shows generated enormous revenue, and as long as ratings remained high, his habits were overlooked. This corporate enablement was common in television production, where financial concerns outweighed health considerations. Landon died in 1991 from pancreatic cancer. His alcohol consumption likely contributed to his health problems, though few fans knew about his private struggles with addiction. Landon successfully maintained his dual identity until the end. Number 1. John Wayne, the rugged whiskey hero. The Duke himself enjoyed whiskey as much as he enjoyed playing rugged heroes on screen. Wayne's drinking became part of his cowboy persona, but also contributed to health issues later in life. John Wayne began drinking heavily during the 1940s. His westerns often featured characters who consumed alcohol casually, and Wayne brought this attitude to his personal life. He preferred bourbon or tequila, claiming good whiskey put hair on your chest. Director John Ford, an alcoholic himself, encouraged Wayne's drinking. Their films together often featured drinking scenes, sometimes using real alcohol. Cast and crew described the atmosphere as work hard, drink hard, normalizing excessive consumption. Wayne's drinking rarely affected his professionalism. He arrived prepared, knew his lines, and performed physical stunts despite hangovers. Co-stars described Wayne as indestructible, enhancing his on-screen image as a tough, resilient hero. Wayne's health deteriorated in the 1960s due to circulation problems linked to alcohol consumption. Though he reduced his drinking slightly, he never achieved sobriety. Even during cancer treatment, Wayne continued drinking against medical advice, maintaining the hard-living persona he had cultivated throughout his career. Wayne died in 1979 from stomach cancer, with his drinking likely contributing to his health problems. His legacy remains complex, as his films celebrate a particular version of American manhood that includes alcohol as a symbol of toughness and independence. Some of these stars hid it well, others let it show. But all of them remind us that even the toughest heroes on screen can be fighting demons behind the scenes. Their stories aren't just about action and fame. They're about pain, pressure, and the cost of keeping up a powerful image while quietly falling apart. If this shocked you, just wait. There's even more Hollywood truth hiding in plain sight. Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because the secrets we're about to uncover next will blow your mind.